Hello everyone, welcome to this demo of my Polar.SDK. In this video, I'll showcase how the generator works, how the SDK is structured, and I have also written this detailed Medium article about this project, but I thought a real demo would provide a clearer understanding of its functionality and purpose. So this demo will highlight how the generator creates the code. We will also look out generated code in the SDK, and we will also see how the generating files, reading the files, etc in real time. I hope this video helps the Polar team and developer community understand the value and potential of this project. If you're interested in contributing, you are more than welcome to join and collaborate on this open source project. Thank you, and let's dive in. As I mentioned in my Medium article, this project holds personal significance to me. Here's what I hope to achieve. Like, these are my personal expectation from the project. I have also written in detail the vision of this project in general. What is the main goal, and what is the long-term goal, what are the short-term goals, etc. Like, what are the next features I'm gonna implement. But let's talk about my personal expectations. So this project is a fantastic opportunity. This project is a very awesome opportunity for me to make a meaningful contribution to a real world open source initiative by Polar team. It will also deepen my understanding of how SDK are generated, how SDKs are developed, and it's like a good hands-on experience. And I can also add this to my portfolio, like showcasing my ability as a Flutter developer or a software developer in general to create something from scratch. This is the minimum expectation: meaningful open source contribution, gaining hands-on experience, and deepening my understanding of SDK development. But let's talk about hopeful expectations, like higher level. At the highest level, what is the best? I hope to collaborate with the Polar.sh team, perhaps through a paid role, maybe whether part-time, contract based, or full-time, or maybe as an internship. I have also enabled sponsor button on this GitHub repo. You can also support this project development by sponsoring here. This is only for Polar Dart. It's not for the whole Polar project. This is just the Polar Dart SDK. And why this matters? Because currently, as a recent graduate and international student in Australia, I started working like 2-3 years ago at a part-time retail job in a gas station. So I'm still currently working on the job. It's 2-3 or 4 days job, which takes a lot of time. And I'm also applying for a couple of roles as a software dev, junior software dev roles, graduate roles. It covers my day-to-day expenses while also dedicating the rest of my time to coding, learning, and applying to the jobs and working on this project and other projects. With some support or collaboration, I could fully focus on this project, unlocking its productivity, more potential, and creating something even more meaningful for the Polar community and beyond. So that's why this was the hopeful expectation. But as I said, a minimum expectation is just to create something open source, because everyone wins: developers, users, and the broader community. Everybody wins. So Polar itself is a brilliant project, and I would love for this SDK to be a valuable addition to their ecosystem. And I hope one day this project is used by a broader community, so that my work here becomes really successful. So yeah, this is my personal expectation. And now let's dive into the demo. So this is the real demo. So as you can see, I have opened my VS Code, and I have opened Polar Dart SDK project, and I have also refreshed all the commits. I have also. So let's first talk about this folder structure. As you can see, it has these three main folders. One is generator, which is a generator code in pure Dart. One is lib, which itself is this is the SDK, and the playground, which is a Flutter project. Currently I'm making for web, so this is a web Flutter project. And these three are the main directories. And there is a test. We can also write some tests for the SDK later on, and this is example, like for pure Dart code you can interact also. So this SDK can also be used in pure Dart projects, and also with the pure Dart project, and also with Flutter projects. So first thing first, so this is the main file Polar.API.json, which is available on Polar docs. This is Open API specification version 3.1.0, and it contains everything of Polar APIs, all the servers. Like they have two servers, sandbox server and production server, contains two servers, and it all these paths, as you can see, this path, API path, and then there are webhooks which are not currently supported in the SDK. I will be working on them next. And the components which contains all the schemas, all the model classes, like there is this address model which contains properties such as line 1, line 2. Line 1 is of type either string or nullable. Then again line 2 property, it's either again string or nullable, like something like these. And then all these are the schemas, and this is the Polar API.json file. So first let's generate some code, and then we will talk about how it's generating. So first of all, this is the generated code, APIs and models. So let's first delete APIs. Let's delete APIs. Let's also delete the models, and let's also delete these three files which are also being generated. So as you can see, this manual is nothing because I was testing this creating this SDK manually. So this was one of the APIs which I written manually, so just ignore it this time. But yeah, so this is the normal structure which we can create from .create package command, and it will give lib folder and all the pubspec.yaml. Let's also see pubspec.yaml. I'm depending on this do package, which is a http package .env to handle my environment variables. So this is like my Polar API key, so but this is not dependent, like this is not necessary. And then I'm also using freezed package and JSON annotation package for generating the freezed classes, and these are dev dependencies, build runner, freeze, JSON serializable, etc. So this was a little bit of pubspec.yaml. Now let's generate some SDK. So okay, so this is the generated folder. It contains main.dart, and it also have source directory which have like API generator code and model generator code. So how this work is, these are some of the paths I have given to it. And then the first method is it's create generate a .json file from the Polar API.json file, which is this is Polar API JSON file, which contains everything. And I think it's not very formatable or not very good for Dart understanding. So what we do in the first step is to clean this file, read this file, parse this file, and create a cleaner version of JSON format, so that it's easier for our Dart code to generate better classes. So let's first comment out everything, and then let's just do the step 1. So as you can see, I have commented out everything else, and just this generate .json file which will generate a models.dart.json, which is a cleaner structure for this generator code. And in the next step, as you can see, we will generate classes from this JSON files. So currently step 1. So let's run this. As you can see, there is nothing in the lib other than this source and this Polar dart this thing. Let's run this one, and models.dart.json is generated successfully. So let's just format it properly. Yeah, so as you can see, this is a cleaner structure. It contains every schema in Polar API JSON file, and it contains like fields. Line 1 is a nullable string, line 2 is also nullable string, any required field, country, and then this type class is also contains the file name of this class and also the class name. It also contains if there are any imports for this class. For example, this class has different imports, advertisement campaign and pagination.dart, because it's referencing other models. So as you can see, the field items is of type list, which itself is type of advertisement campaign. So like you can also see this pagination item field is of type pagination, so that's why we are also importing other files. So this is a cleaner structure, and once this JSON file is created, we can now create Dart classes from this cleaner structure. So let's do this one. Again, let's go to the generator code, go to the main.dart, and let's uncomment this second step. So this is the second step, and now you will see more than 300 files being generated in pure Dart. So let's again do this, run, and you can see this new folder, and you can see these files being created. So as you can see, these are all in red. It means there are some errors. So because we are using freezed to create our immutable classes, so we need to create these part files. So next step is to just create just run the build runner in the terminal. So Dart, we can also add this step in the generator code, like we can also run scripts from Dart code, but currently we are doing manually Dart build, I think. Yeah, okay. So this is the command, and you will see it will generate all the Dart part files, freezed classes, this .g and .freezed. And as you can see, it's more than I don't know, more than 500 files. And as you can see, every error in the models folder has gone away, and we have created all these files. So address.dart, as you can see, this code is being generated from our generator code, and these part files are being created from freezed classes. So that's I have just used freezed for creating our models. We can also use another, but I like freezed much. This is much better. And like as you can see, there are some little bit not bugs, but linter warnings, like this is not lower camel case type, etc, etc. We can fix in another versions, but currently I'm just keeping it as simple as possible, focusing more on creating SDK. But we can also fix our generator code to convert this to lowercase camel case. I think I already have this function, I just haven't used it on the fields. So yeah, so now let's talk about the next step. Next step is, again, we have done the schemas from the Polar API.json. These schemas I'm talking about, these address model, advertisement campaign model, all these schemas. And now the next step is to create the Dart SDK for these API paths. So that's the next step. So again, it's again a two-step process. First, we again create a new JSON file, a cleaner structure of JSON file for paths, APIs, and then from that JSON file we will create Dart classes. Now again, as you can see, there is no apis.dart.json here. Just see in the folder structure. But when I run this main, the third step, it will generate the cleaner version of apis.json. So if I run it, and you can see this file is being generated, and if we just format it, this is a cleaner JSON structure which contains which API groups the API belongs to, what is the file name of that API, are there any imports, like for example it is importing the models, this model, and then we will talk, here are the endpoints, first get endpoints, what are the parameters, if there is a default value, if it's nullable, if it's required, etc, etc, all these things which are being parsed from Polar API JSON and in this cleaner structure. And the next step is pretty simple: read this cleaner structure and generate the classes. So we will do this one. Just go to main.dart, and next step 4. So as you can see, there is no APIs folder here. Once I run this, and it'll generate the in the step 4, it will generate all the API classes. So if I run here, and as you can see, all the API classes are being generated. So let's see one of the API class. I think organizations API, because in the playground I'm currently showcasing this. In the playground, a web app, we can use this API currently from the SDK. So as you can see, it creates this class called organizations API. It has this dio client, and first method is to get the list the organizations. It gets all these parameters and try and catch something like that. And then this is the next function, which is a post method. This is the next function with getting a single organization from ID, and this is a patch method to update. And but there is one problem here, because we also need to update this Polar client of all these APIs once being generated. So if I delete this Polar client dart, and it will automatically generate for us in the last step. It in the step 4, it also create this api.registry.json file, which is a third JSON file we create, which contains all the file names and class names for generating this Polar client, updating this Polar client of these late APIs. I'm not sure is this the right way to structure the SDK, but currently it is the simpler and most straightforward way. Maybe someone can suggest, or maybe I can learn on the way of on the go what's the better way to structure the SDK, and then we will improve. But currently I'm structuring it like this. So if I delete this Polar client.dart file, and in the last step, let's update the Polar client. And if we run all the 5 steps now, we have also updated Polar client, and there are no changes other than the commands we have done. So as you can see, the Polar SDK is being generated from our generator code.